Hi there. In this video, I'm going to go over how you can manually schedule and also manually release different actions from Paidnice in all of the different ways that you can. So I'm going to go over three different ways. First is going to be how to create the automations or manual approvals to be able to manually approve particular actions and then also schedule other ones. I'm also going to go over groups and tags in terms of how to create different groups for different customers, and also how to have different customer tags to essentially isolate customers from receiving specific policy actions. So example is maybe you don't want to have a late charge going to maybe a group of customers, but you want them to still receive other things like statements and reminders and things like this. And then lastly, I'll go through how you can manually ad hoc do any action that you like. So just go in and charge a late fee for a particular client or a particular invoice or send some reminders, etc., all that kind of fun stuff. So let's start with the first one in terms of the traffic light system. So over in our groups, we've got, you always have this default group, which is essentially where all of your clients will by default go into. Now, Paidnice is kind of like a bit of an onion in terms of how the policy actions work. So, you've got these layers of policies inside, and inside of those, you have different levels of on or offness. So you can sort of see this traffic light. So each policy, so it can be an email reminder, it could be an escalation, it could be a statement that goes out, or it could be a interest charge. Now, these all have either an active mode in terms of that is pre-scheduled. It is essentially just going to go out pre-approved. In other words, that once the criteria that you set inside the policy occurs, then it will go out. Now, in the draft mode is essentially the exact same state, but you have to manually approve each individual action to go out. So you can kind of see here in this little preview. We can see for this particular, so 4 days overdue reminder email. We can see that we've got one that would be scheduled to go out tomorrow. We've got another one that would be scheduled to go out in 3 days, another one to go out in the next month. Now, that's essentially saying, this is a way for you to manually approve and release these. But if you just wanted them to go out without needing to have any manual approvals, you just want them to automatically go out, you push them into active mode. Now, if you don't want them to sit in your queue, which I'll show you shortly, you just turn it into inactive. So basically, red light, it would turn it off. Now let's go have a look at that sort of what that flow, what that queue looks like. Now over in the actions here, we will see we've got a draft here sitting here. We've got 22 different drafts. We've got all of those different emails. We've got some other late penalties and things like this that are here. Now, inside of those, you can click on each of these and actually preview the action itself. So you can preview what the email would look like, pre-populated with the different merge tags and things. And in here is where you can do two key actions. You can either approve the action to manually go out on, so you're manually approving the action to go out on its scheduled date, and on whatever the scheduled date is here. That's when you're wanting to release that. Now, you can do this in bulk, by the way, so you can go you can do all of these if you want. So this, again, you can manually push these into the scheduled state. And you can sort of see I did one earlier, so we could say maybe let's say these two late charge or a statement here and a late charge, and we want to approve those to go out on the scheduled date. Now, we can go out to our scheduled tab now, and you'll see we've got these ones here that are scheduled to go out in a future date. Now, if we didn't want to do that, we can basically remove that as well. We can undo that approval and pushes it back into its draft state there. Now, if we just wanted to manually release those now, independent of that scheduled date, in fact, that's in the future, so we don't even care about that. We just wanted to do it. And so then you could do that inside the individual policy by actioning it now. And we could basically do that. So check statement interest. So we could basically, this is an interest charge. So this one here, we can do this. And then what that's going to do is it's going to go and just manually run that interest charge right now based on its kind of like previously sitting in the queue appearance. Now, we can see here it's sitting in the complete tab. So that's where it sits. This is also where you would reverse the charge, by the way, and you could do this for discounts too. And you could basically sit here and click this and remove that interest charge, and it would sit there in the reverted, as you can see there. So that is how you would essentially schedule your interest. Sorry, that's how you would schedule your policies to go out. Now, let's say we wanted to have a situation where we want to have our emails going out pre-approved. Essentially, we don't want to sit there and approve all of the reminders to go out, and even though maybe our automatic statements. And so we turn them onto the green light mode there. Now, what that will do is you see everything's moved over to this scheduled state here, and you can see everything's basically scheduled to go out here as intended. But maybe for my interest charges, I kind of, at least to begin with, I want to kind of manually approve these and release these and be like, yes. Oh, no, actually, no, I don't want to charge those guys. So you can kind of do that, and you can approve those actions and move that over to that state there. And then once you're happy with the charges, and once you're kind of happy with how the things are performing, and maybe you do just want to start moving things over to automatic mode, then that's how you would do that. So that's how the traffic light system works with Paidnice. Now, I forgot to mention is also this top layer of the onion is this account-wide on and off button here. So basically I could turn that off, and then everything below that, including all the policies, will essentially be in that sort of that safe mode state. So just something to bear in mind. So you can basically have these sort of on-off mode, on-off halfway mode for the policies, and then you can also have this on-off mode on the top of the account here as well. Now, let's say we want to still charge interest across maybe most of our clients, but there's maybe a few clients that you actually want to avoid interest charges for. So the best way to do that, let's say we wanted to, again, we still want our reminders and escalations and statements to go out, but we actually want now, but we don't want the interest charges to go to a couple of select clients. Now, what we would do is we would create different tags for that. So we're going to go to contact here, and I've actually set one up earlier, but we'll set up a new one. So over in contacts, we can say we could create a tag for like no late charges, right? So no late fees. So we'll add a couple more to that group now. So we're going to go apply tags here. Now I've already got a tag here for no late fees, but you can create a new tag here and just go create new tag, and then create one for no late charges. So you're going to click that, no late fees, and you can see here that these clients now have this tag here. So a client can have multiple tags, by the way. So you could have multiple tags on the client inside of the group. And now we can go over to our policy, and we can go to our policy here where it says interest charge. Go over here, go down to the available options, and then we're going to go down to the contact tags and click that button. Now this will appear at the bottom here, and in here you can basically do two things. You can either include contacts with a specific tag or exclude contacts with a specific tag. Now I click that, and I can then click my no late fees tag there. Now we'll select that. Boom, there it goes. And you can see now statement interest charge. So this is my month. This is my 20% per annum. It's going to exclude the contacts with that particular tag with no late fees. So now those clients will just not receive the late charges, but they will receive everything else. And clients that do not have that particular tag will still receive the late fees with them. Now, that's a really good way of doing that so that you can kind of keep all your policies together. Now, if you wanted to get a little bit more nuclear with that, you can create a brand new group. So you can see I've already created one here for bad payers. We can create a new group here. We could even say, we could literally call this one no late fees. And inside of this, you can sort of see here we've got 20 contacts there. So by default, all your contacts will go into that group. But this is where you also build your policies as well. And you can sort of see in this group, I don't actually have any contacts or any policies. Same thing with my bad payers. Well, I've got actually 2 contacts in there. But this is how you can kind of properly separate and segment out customers from receiving policy actions. It's a little bit more nuclear than the previous option, because an example is maybe for the no late fees group, you still wanted them to receive the other policy actions like order statements and things like this. So you'd have to duplicate those into that group. So that is a more sort of nuclear way to do that. But doing that is also really easy as well. So you might potentially have that for maybe different types of workflows. And so an example is I can move those clients over from the contact here, and then I can move them into a group. So I can move them into the bad payers group. Or an example, actually, I'd probably want to move them into the no late fees group. So we could do that. Yeah, let's move them over to no late fees group, and they are over there. So now they're not going to receive any actions at all, because you can see here there's nothing scheduled. There's not even any draft actions because there's no policies in that particular group. So that's how you can use contacts and tags to be able to segment customers by different things. Now, what if you just wanted to basically charge late charges or send some stuff to clients on a just a manual basis by literally just coming into the system and doing it? So what I would recommend you doing is coming into these two ways here. So you can come into the contact view here, or we can do it on an invoice view. And as you can just sort of see here, there's different filter options and things here. So you can look at your columns. You can also filter clients by different things here, by different status, by email, by what group they're in, how many unpaid invoices they have, all of those different things. I've just done a quick filter there for number of unpaid invoices, so I can just sort of see how many unpaid invoices they've got, and then I can use that as a way to manually perform actions. So you can do things in quick or in bulk. So I could basically select a bunch of these and then apply some of these quick actions up here. So I could send some statements, I could send a few announcements, or some charge some of these contacts interest. I could freeze these contacts from any further processing of any Paidnice policy actions at all. You can also do that on an invoice view as well, by the way. And let's say, and so we could do that on a bulk basis, or maybe when we just want to come into the client and maybe when we want to configure some specific actions here. So we can do this to maybe charge interest. So an example is we could click this and we can create a one-off interest charge for this particular client. So let's say we wanted to do maybe a 10%, just like a 10% charge on top of that. You can configure the options here in terms of how you want to, if you want to send the email to the client or whatnot or whichever, and then you can preview what that would look like before actually doing it, and it will generate a preview, and we'll see that shortly of what that will look like. Well, there's actually no interest to be charged on this one just because we've already issued one on there. So maybe that's because we could maybe find another client to do that. But that's essentially how that would work. You can also do this on a individual invoice basis. So you can click on the individual invoice and you can see the different actions that you can do here. So you could send a reminder email. You could even send them an SMS if you wanted to. You could issue a late charge. You could view the other actions. So you can do all of the different things inside of the invoice itself to be able to apply late charges or things like this and preview different fees. An example is that we might want to, again, let's try and do that, say 10% sort of fee, and then have a look at that. What does it look like? Do that one, preview that, and then have that appear. So there you go. So we can basically see that, that invoice is for $3,200. So we can basically see this one here is going to add this one we've asked it to update the existing invoice and add a line item on that one. We can then apply that and hopefully see that applied there. Unpaid. Yep, do that there. Cool. Let's have a look. So that's appeared there manually. See it there. It's manually added that interest charge. So that is how we do ad hoc actions. And so you can do those from the contact screen. You can do that from the invoice screen. And you can also do it from the actions screen here as well. The actions view, sorry, as well to be able to play with actions and manually perform them. You can also do them from the dashboard too, by the way. Things like slowest payers, oldest invoices and things you can do perform a few ad hoc actions from there. So yes, that's how we do all of those. Thanks for watching the video today. And if you have any questions or anything else, just please reach out to our support team or on hello@paidnice.com. We'd be more than happy to help. Okay, thanks a lot. Ciao.